Hello, my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com, and today's video is just to help give you a primer on understanding tax policy and the terminology when discussing taxes and the thought process to have a intelligent conversation about taxes no matter what your personal views are. Bottom line, what is the right amount of taxation? Well, the whole purpose of taxation is to fund government. So at the end of the day, it depends on what you think government should do. What's the appropriate level of taxation? Whatever is appropriate to fund the government that does the things you think it should do. So at the end of the day, the amount of taxation, that conversation really relies around what you think government should do. But then there's the conversation of how you tax, because how you tax to fund that government can affect all sorts of other outcomes, because a tax at the end of the day is a cost. And whenever you impose a cost on something, you will discourage it. So basically, we want to have a serious conversation about what you want to impose these costs on. And there are several different ways to tax, whether it be through a sales tax, where basically people pay a tax at the point of purchase, which could be done through a traditional sales tax, which means at the point of purchase, you see the price of what you paid plus a sales tax on your receipt. So you see the cost of taxation. Or you can do it through an excise tax, which happens before the point of purchase, which means whatever you're buying will just look more expensive. You won't realize that a big chunk of that price is taxes. Or you could do an income tax. Now, an income tax taxes you on the money that you make. So you're basically imposing a cost on people earning money on their productivity, which is why a lot of economists get concerned about an income tax. But how do you structure that income tax? Do you do it through a flat tax where everyone pays the same percentage? Or do you do a graduated progressive income tax where the more money you make, you pay a higher percentage of that next marginal dollar? It just depends. A lot of the conversation regarding this is just depending on whether you think taxes should be progressive, which just means that the burden of taxation should be heavierly or more heavily felt by those with larger incomes. So thus the graduated progressive tax rate, etc. Now, other people may think the progressivity isn't a major concern. Some people worry about people having a vested interest in how those tax dollars are spent. So that means if you make taxes too progressive and then people at the lower income level pay no taxes, then what may happen is that they become less concerned with how those taxes get spent because it truly just becomes somebody else's money. So in that case, they may prefer something like a universal sales tax, while it may be regressive, meaning the burden theoretically is greater on a lower income person. And how, just so you understand how that happens, imagine that me and Warren Buffett are both in line at your local Walgreens. We both buy $100 worth of stuff at Walgreens. So I guess that's a lot of NyQuil or a lot of whatever people are buying at Walgreens. We're both going to pay here in New York City around 8% sales tax. So I'm going to pay $8. Warren Buffett's going to pay $8. And I can rest assured that Warren Buffett makes more money than me. So $8 as a percentage of his income is going to be a lot smaller than $8 a percentage of my income. So that's why a sales tax is considered regressive. Although there are ways to make things that are initially regressive taxes, like a sales tax, and make them more progressive or less regressive. Whether it's by issuing a rebate, by giving people a portion of the money they paid in taxes back, or by excluding certain items. So a lot of sales taxes in many states, what they do is they exclude things that people need, because the portion of the actual expenditures of people who are lower income tend to be disproportionately on things that you need, housing, food, etc., versus things that you want, more discretionary expenditures. So then they just leave the sales tax on those more discretionary consumer expenditures. So again, how much you want to tax based on how big you think government should be, or at least what government should be doing. How you tax depends on what you think is going to be sort of the least damaging way to the economy to raise those funds. Okay, so there's a bajillion different ways. And there's also the idea of sin taxes, where you tax things that you want to discourage people from doing. Although, then this also creates an incentive for government to promote these things because they become a source of revenue. Because while a tax discourages the people being taxed, it also encourages the government to optimize those numbers because they'll make more money if those numbers are bigger. So if government makes money through income, it has a reason to want to increase incomes. If it generates money through drug use, then it has a slight incentive to maximize drug use. Now again, these incentives are not always equally strong or equally there. So again, there's all sorts of other factors that play a role in whether certain incentives take place, but they're there. So hopefully this creates an interesting thought process of taxation. Again, how much taxation should there be is going to be based on what you think government should be doing, and that's a conversation we need to have as well. But on top of that conversation, to fund any government that does exist, how you tax is an important discussion as well. My name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com. Have a great day and enjoy.